Hello everybody and welcome back to the OS Talk. It's been a little bit of time, but we're back. My name is Z-Trot and I'm with Deadbeat today, and we're going to have a discussion of 6. We'll get started on our discussion by introducing who's here, then we'll talk about what we're talking about, because that's just how we do stuff. First off, we have juankristal with us. How you doing, Juan?
Hey Z-Trot, how you doing? I'm feeling really good.
I'm doing all right, and some might know Juan from his commentary on the Mania World Cup this year, or just the fact that he's quite the skilled player in his country. We also are joined with Rohulk, which is a first-timer to the OS Talk, but still a nice warm welcome to you as well. How you doing, man?
Hello, I was swiftly invited here, and I am glad to join.
Well, we are glad to have you, and for those that might not know Rohulk, if I'm not mistaken, I might have my facts a little bit wrong, but I do believe you're either 70 or 71 in the world at the moment. Is this correct?
Yes,
All
70.
Right. All right, so that is very impressive there, being in the top 100 for standard, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep.
All right. And we're also joined with Xilver today as well. How are you?
How's it going, Z-Trot? Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Unfortunately, Deadbeat didn't give me as much time on you getting to join, so I did not get to do as much research on you, and I apologize. So if you wouldn't mind, would you go ahead and explain a little bit about yourself for those that might not know you?
Sure. Right now I am ranked number 1 in the US for standard. I'm ranked 12 worldwide at the moment.
See, I feel like a super douchebag for not knowing any of that. I knew you were high up there, but I didn't realize you were number 1 in the US. I mean, that just goes to show I need to step my game up a little bit. The last time I checked number 1 in the United States, it was Sapphire Ghost. Ouch.
I miss Sapphire Ghost.
We all do.
The same. All right, though, and then our last guest with us today here is Zach, which is one of the higher players for Catch the Beat in the United States. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Glad I could make it today.
All right. So, obviously, what we're going to talk about today is something that's been talked about a lot in the forums. There's been a lot of heated discussion, arguments going all around. But we're going to be talking about the Standard World Cup, and we're going to kind of go into a little bit of the conclusion of the Mania World Cup. Unfortunately, we were not able to set up a recap for the very final stage. It was unfortunate, but some of us ran into medical issues, and that's why I was not here for any of the ending for that tournament, and I am sorry. I do apologize for that ahead of time. But let's get this thing started right away. And our first talking point here will be the conclusion of the Mania World Cup 2015. Now, for those of you that did not follow it, it's okay if you don't have anything to put on it. Just simply say I'll pass or whatever you need to do, and we'll get right on with it. So, with the conclusion of the Mania World Cup, it did mark the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that the United States actually took first place prize in any World Cup across the board, which I think is like a huge thing for the US.
Not only that they were completely undefeated.
Yeah, the first time we saw a team winning a World Cup without being defeated in any single map. Not only the first time USA getting it. Yeah, it was really impressive. They beat
a lot of us weren't even expecting USA to make it to the finals, but for the grand finals, but I don't think we expected that.
Well, I was expecting United States being like the strongest thing in the tournament. I also expected like not a perfect tournament, but they are really, really strong.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty much a shutout. Not a complete shutout, but after the third map, everything was kind of pretty much decided. Is that really how it went? I haven't even gotten a chance to go watch the video on demand if it's still available.
There wasn't much Japan could have done.
Basically.
There were a few what we referred to as suicide picks they could have gone for, but nothing really worked.
That's really crazy. I mean, it's just hard to believe that. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm always rooting for the U.S. to win. But usually, like I said in previous World Cups, we get cocky, we just tank. We usually get to somewhere near the finals, either the quarterfinals or the semifinals, but we usually don't see grand finals. We get stomped out. But this time we were just on top of it.
And not only that, United States also got the most difficult bracket in the tournament because they had to beat South Korea, Japan twice, Canada, a lot of strong teams, United Kingdom as well.
Wow.
That's a throwback to last year's OC World Cup where we got 06th twice
Oh, man.
when we made it to finals.
That's just a shame. And, like, it's always more stressful for me with Standard because, like, well, we'll be talking about that as well with the scoring system that they're talking about doing. But normally when you're watching a Standard OC World Cup, once the combo gets past 500, I start panicking. For both teams. I don't care who I'm rooting to win. I just know that once you start getting a higher combo, if you don't have that disabled or if you bother to look at that can make or break a combo. It really can. I know that most of the pro players have gotten to the point where they can feng shui past that, but I know for those that are still getting really good at the game or trying to improve, high combo is just nerve-wracking.
I wonder if a lot of players actually disable that now. Because you can actually disable the entire HUD.
Yeah, you can. But it's like, how many people know to disable the HUD?
I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. Like, I think most people know how to do it.
I would hope so.
I feel like most of the pro players like try to figure out as fast as they can how to get rid of as much as they can.
Well, way back in the day, it was just transparent PNG skin element everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that one.
People still do that, I think.
I know in my case, I mean, I can't really speak for everyone, but I don't really get distracted by the combo. Like, I don't find a reason to look at it really, so just having it in the background doesn't really impact me in any way. But I can relate to some people getting distracted by it. That's why I think that being able to disable it was a really good idea.
Definitely was.
Would you say that, in addition, Xilver, you've been here quite a long time, I would assume, right?
2 years, I think.
2 years?
Yeah.
I wonder if 2 years was far enough back. Like, do you know the old skin predating the skin we have today?
Predating the default, you mean?
Yes.
The one with the really bright 300 and stuff like that?
Really big 300.
The really big Kaboom 300?
Yeah, the red one?
Yeah, the reddish orange one?
I wasn't around for the time, but I know how it looks.
Yeah.
So.
Would you say that could affect gameplay, or do you think that's really all in people's heads? Because I hear some people that say that they can't play with 300s or any of the graphics, and then there's people that can play with full graphic and not have any issues.
I mean, I would definitely agree that skins do make a difference. Like me personally, I could never play with the old skin. It doesn't function well the way, especially with the way maps are made today. They're made with a lot of overlaps. So having 300s not transparent is practically, like, even if you're used to the graphics, I still think it hinders your gameplay quite a lot.
Well, I just kind of wanted to say one thing on that. You say that there's a lot of overlaps nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's actually a little bit backwards to that. Older maps, well, I mean, I guess they're more stylistic nowadays. The overlaps that we do see, like, they don't look as much as an overlap. Usually the paths are pretty clear in terms of what's going on, but older maps, like, they literally stack stuff on top of each other going back and forth. It's just like, ugh. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good map that would explain that. I think anything that MTMCL mapped would probably explain what I'm talking about.
Almost any tag 4 map would explain what you're talking about.
Yeah, tag 4 map would definitely explain it. They were just ruthless with overlap. I feel like nowadays overlap is a lot more fair, I guess would be the best way to say it. You don't feel cheated as much if you accidentally miss it. As to where, like, beforehand, like, overlap would just be there for the sake of being there.
I kind of agree, but I do think that, like, despite all the overlaps in the old maps, there's still maps like DJ Pop, which are pretty much like entirely linear.
Yeah.
Like no overlaps whatsoever. So it's kind of a mix between them. And I do think that maps currently, like, they kind of mix.
Yeah, they
They
found
kind
a
of
good
mix,
medium.
overlap, and flow together, and it kind of works. I just don't think that bright 300s, especially when you're playing hidden,
Yeah.
that just doesn't work.
No, I agree with you fully. Like, that old 300 had to go. Like, with the way mapping was moving towards and everything else, like, stuff like that had to go. Now, I myself personally don't see the need to remove the 300 anymore. Now that it's been reduced to what it is, I don't see an issue, but I know some people still would rather not have it there, and it helps them better. But I don't know.
I made mine completely transparent. I find it's just easier considering the fact that I like playing on it as well.
Yeah, that's not a big issue there, though. But anyways, outside of the skin tangent and the Mania World Cup, let's kind of talk about the OS World Cup. This is a big one, guys. Everybody's getting excited about it. There's tons of people already arguing about it in the forums. But one of my main things is, do you really feel that 2 weeks is enough time to register for such a large event? And I just want everybody's honest opinion on this one. Myself, I feel like you should give a full month for registration. That's just me. But, you know, I'm up to hear what you guys think. I just feel that 2 weeks is not enough time to coordinate a team, get together people you're going to be able to play good with, work well with, figure out schedules, all that stuff. Like, it's not enough time. I just don't feel like it's enough time.
My honest opinion is I think it is enough time when you consider the fact that, like, especially with the Oxford Cup, news about this travels really fast, and there is an announcement about it. So a majority of the time, most people realize this within like a few days that it's going on. Not to mention the fact that you don't have to find teammates anymore. You get given teammates. That's no longer something you need to worry about.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Like, the registration is now individually, so you don't have to worry about teammates because it's about your sign. If you sign up, then you're okay. And 2 weeks, it's enough time, I think. It might be better to have some more time, but you have to schedule all the World Cups together. So with new game modes coming like 7 Key, you have to schedule 5 World Cups in 1 year, so you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's where we kind of... Because usually I thought last year we did have a month for signups, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it a whole month registration phase? I could be wrong. I could be talking out my butt right now. I think
it's also, if you are the captain, you are given the list of participants after signups are over, and then you still have like an entire week or so to decide who you will have on your team.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit better than what I was thinking. That's like, that gives you an extra week for preparation.
Yeah, so you get 2 whole weeks to sign up, and then you get time after that in between signups ending and the live drawings to form your team together and then submit who your finalized team is.
Okay, well that's
last year you were asking last week was 3 weeks, a little bit more than 3 weeks for registration phase, and it was now the captain thing, so it was team registrations based. So I think it's basically the same time, so it's okay.
Yeah, so that's no big deal then. I just feel that maybe they should have like explained that a little bit more in the initial post probably, and that would have cleared up some confusion, because I know I did see some people like voicing opinions like, whoa, 2 weeks, what the hell?
Yeah, because last year for the 2014 registration was from the 2nd to the 26th of October.
I mean, I think personally 2 weeks is enough time for registration, because usually thoughts for Host World Cup, they happen like before it's even announced. At least that's what my team does. Like, we think of participants, we think of who's able to play like right before, like way before the tournament is actually announced. So like for us, really those 2 weeks are just 2 weeks of waiting and practicing, because we already have a team in our head. So
same here.
And that's actually more or less the same for me.
Well, that's good. That's good to see that our participants in the World Cups are thinking ahead and making sure to plan ahead of time. That's
and
actually
I was gonna say, the World
really
Cup
reassuring.
times they seem to be at the same time, but people also seem to know, like, well, this World Cup's coming up, we should find people.
Yeah. Alright, so the next thing we're going to kind of talk over real quick, this one's going to have to involve with myself, Deadbeat, and Zach, and Juan if he gets back. And before we go into the thoughts on the map pools, let's kind of discuss the whole commentator thing right now and get that out in the air and open. I've kind of talked about it a little bit today in hashtag OWC. I've also made my point very clear in the forums. I'm not looking not to expand. There's tons of people asking if they can commentate for this year's World Cup. I love the amount of support we're getting for the World Cup. That is fantastic. I don't see anything wrong with that. What starts to be an issue though is when you go around and you're not coming directly to me. I'm not getting the direct PMs. Loctab made it very clear that I'm going to be in charge of the commentary staff. That's no problem on my part. I don't mind. But when you go to other people and you're asking other people, my family and friends, to like convince me, like I'm not going to say names because I don't want to put anybody out there in a bad light, but one individual bought me some Steam games. You know who you are. And I promptly returned them because I'm not going to take bribes. I'm not going to do that. And you're not going to ask my family and friends or people I know on the game to sweet talk me into giving you a place either. In fact, you've probably hurt yourself more by doing that than if you would have came to me and like gave a proper reasoning as to why you wanted to commentate, you know? So with that out of the way, and I'm sorry, I just want to get that out. With that out of the way though, let's go ahead and talk about, do you think map pools will be tough enough? And this one is going to be for myself, Deadbeat, Juan, and Zach. And
honestly, I feel like the Rohulk and Xilver could probably contribute to this one as well.
Sure thing.
yeah,
I don't mind.
yeah,
Sure.
not a problem. Yeah, go for it. Because you guys played in last year's, if I'm not mistaken, so you know how the map pool was there.
I haven't.
Yeah,
No?
Rohulk's a really good
wasn't a
player.
Romanian
He didn't.
Ah. Okay, well.
Actually,
Anyways,
just something. No, Rohulk, are you hoping for a Romanian team this year?
I am, and actually, the fact that you told me that you don't even need to build a team, you just register individually and the team is made for you. That's amazing. I can just register and it would put me in a team. I don't even have to search for anybody. Because
It's so much easier now.
yeah, I heard someone told me, hey, don't you want to participate? Because Romania has never participated in any also tournament before. So I was like, sure, but who would I play with? Because basically there aren't that many people in Romania. So that I was kind of concerned there. But now, really anyone can register. And if we have enough people, that's awesome. If not, oh well, maybe another time. But hey, I'm gonna also participate this year.
I do
Nice.
like the change from last year, because last year what you had to do like was pretty much your team. They had to pick a captain, and that captain would like PM Locktab, I think, with the participants, and then the management team would like check if they've done anything bad over the past year, and then they would allow them into the team. I do think
I don't even
that's
think it was PM for Lockdown. I think originally what you had to do was you had to post your team in the H3.
oh really?
You said
I
like,
think-
this is the captain, these are the players, and these are the backups.
oh,
It was 2
that's-
years ago, I think. Last year was like Xilver saying.
Yeah, I was only in one Lesser World Cup, and that's what I remember. The problems that came with what happened last year was that there were a lot of like tentative changes, like with who's captain. At least for my team, for the US roster, like it was who was captain, like people leaving, people joining, people like not wanting to play because someone is on their team. Like it's a lot of like really silly stuff, and we ended up like having to make a team from scratch in 2 days before registration ends. So I do think that individual registration is way superior to what we had last year. It's a lot easier when they just pick a captain for you and that captain selects a team. Like, and there's no conflicts, there's no silly arguments. I really like how it's done right now.
I agree.
Sweet.
All right. Okay, and moving on to map pools. Doing the commentary for the last few World Cups across all the game modes, one thing I've kind of noticed is I really and honestly do feel that the final map pools for the opposite game modes are a lot higher end than what we see in our standard World Cup. Our standard World Cup is our most watched, most participated, most active tournament. But with that being said, the end game map pool, there's definitely harder maps out there, in my personal opinion. I mean,
we need to break out the 7-star stuff.
Yeah, like, what, Xilver and Rohulk, what do you guys feel would be appropriate for a finals map pool? Just out of the maps you've played recently and maybe over the course of this year.
What exactly are the maps in the map pool? Because I have no idea.
Oh, no, there's nothing been set yet. This is hopefully a lot of the staff do watch these, and hopefully this will kind of get the map selectors to kind of step their game up this year. That's my main goal here.
Okay, so to put this into perspective, last year when we had the Oz World Cup finals, we had maps like Anthem by Bring Me the Horizon, which is a 5.7-star map. So we're looking around like the 5.5 to 6-star maps. What Zetra and I are thinking of is having maps that are like 6.5, maybe 7 stars.
Like the Mountain King. Ooh. Hall the Mountain King. That would be fun.
I see. Okay, well, I think this is a discussion about what would we like to see in a tournament. Players who have more ability or players who have more consistency. Because if we increase the difficulty of the maps in, say, the finals and semifinals, then sure, I think we should increase the difficulty. But if we put even 7-star maps, I think the chance of seeing FCs or high combos or anything like that, even for very high-end players, is kind of low.
Yes.
At the same time though, but if you see players full comboing the final map pool, like the grand finals, either A, that player is a monster, or B, it kind of makes you wonder, like, was the map pool just a bit too easy?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, games like that can be incredibly clutch, but at the same time, don't you think it's a little bit weird, like seeing a grand final map and everybody walking away with a double S?
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a bit too... I don't know. I think it should be changed, indeed. I think maps should be hard enough so that the chance of seeing it is not high, but easy enough that the better player will succeed and will win. But SS, everyone is that's not good.
And there has been talk to a potential World Cup scoring system. I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit more about that, but with later. But with something like that, I feel like the map pools would actually have the leeway they need to go to the really insane stuff and push our players to the absolute limit.
What do you think about the Xilver?
About the scoring or about the map pool?
Map pool.
Well, if I may add first, I really do love the map pool selectors we have this year. It's Cherry Blossom and Skystar, both are incredible mappers. I really believe so, and I really think they're going to make great choices in how the map pool is gonna be created. So, about the actual map pool for finals, with the way the current scoring system is for this year, I really don't think 7 stars is going to complement accuracy this much. So, like, having incredibly hard maps while you're trying to shift the focus to accuracy and not just combo is not a really good idea, in my opinion. So I do kind of necessarily agree with Rohulk with what he said. Like, you need to have maps that, like, there's a chance to full combo, but not necessarily. And I don't really think you need to go by star rating, because some maps have really low star rating, but for example, maybe the BPM is really high, so it's harder to full combo. Or maybe the approach rate is weird, so the reading is kind of makes it harder to full combo. So I do think it needs to be some sort of middle ground, just like what Rohulk said.
Yeah. Like, my whole thing with it is I just don't want to see in the finals, and I know it's going to happen at least once. We have incredible players all the way around. It's just when you see players able to just destroy something that's supposed to be like the grand final. This is the top of the top. You're the best to get here. And then both sides just completely destroy. And then it's down to like the lowest technicality. Like, did this person give 1/100 more than the other person? There's no deciding skill factor there. It all comes into, like, I mean, you gotta agree with me a little bit when you, well, you don't have to, obviously. That's what these talks are for. But I feel like when it comes down to something like that, luck does have a little bit to play.
I agree.
When it gets down to something like that, luck is kind of a deciding factor there. Because when you get with them harder maps, something I've noticed with harder maps is it's a little bit easier to get decent accuracy because the movement is so much harder. That's a cutting trend you see. The harder or more complex the patterns are, usually the easier the overall difficulty or even the HP rate is kind of knocked back to allow for more mistakes. Which is good in tournament play, I guess. I mean, it allows for comebacks and stuff like that. But at the same time, then at the end of the day, if everybody does that perfectly, it just comes up to luck. Like, who just barely didn't hit that 1/300 one time.
I do think that, like, last year, the map pool was a really good example of, like, how finals map pool should have went, because not only there was good variety of maps in terms of BPM or approach rate or like stuff with hidden or like overlapping hidden maps, and really, if I remember correctly, what we saw a lot of combo breaks. Like, there wasn't really any time where a whole team would end up full comboing or a whole team would have double S's. I think it was a really good middle ground. So I do believe the same should be done for this year as well.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was about to say something about the new scoring system and the map pool, because that's going to be a really important thing for the selection of the maps. Like, if you have other way to score points, then the map selector should take care about new stuff, and it might be different as we expect.
Yeah, with accuracy taking a focus, I do believe there's going to be a large change in what we see for maps. I don't think it's going to be a bad change, and I'm hoping that this is actually going to move for a more competitive aspect in the gameplay. But of course, you know, when doing stuff like this is the first time this is going to be done. There might be issues. It might run super smooth. There's no guarantee for it. We just it's one of them things you kind of got to let it play out and see what happens.
Yeah, and probably Standard is the only game mode where this type of scoring system works, because in other game modes it's pretty hard.
Well, the other game modes almost, like Mania does that automatically. You know, it's pretty much set to that within reason.
Yeah.
And Catch the Beat.
Not all, but yeah.
Catch the Beat, I don't know if it could be switched to that metric, just because the way fruits and droplets are calculated and everything like that. I know it doesn't give as high as a score, but it can get really ridiculous once you start getting large platters, like knocked out there and not dropping anything. Tycho has its own scoring system. I don't think anybody wants to mess with that. It's been fine-tuned over the years. It's been reset a couple times. I think it's finally at a common ground where people can agree that it's okay.
Yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with Tycho, especially in the World Cup thing. It worked
I
quite
think
well.
the most balanced one is Tycho, probably.
It's just, like, my biggest thing with the new scoring system, how it's been changed, which we probably won't even have to be talking about it later, because we've kind of gotten into it now, is we're probably not going to see any carry plays. That's something that has been relevant in the OWC for a while.
I'm actually pretty happy about that, to be honest.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, oh man, that kind of sucks. Because when you see somebody with like almost 1,000 combo and everybody else can't even keep it, you kind of feel like, man, that guy deserves to win. But then at the same time, if you look at the other team and all their accuracies are way over everybody else and dude's just got a super high combo, then it's like, was he really that skilled towards completely dominating that map? Or was that just luck that he didn't drop at that really hard section that everybody else did?
Here's the thing though. Like you said, like, if one guy has like 1,000 plus combo and is carrying his team, and you're like, yeah, he deserves to win, that's fine. But this is a team effort.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I liked about the Poker World Cup and the Mania World Cup. It's like, there wasn't really a set way for one person to carry their team. Everyone in the team had to perform really well, and if not, we're in trouble.
I disagree with two things about that, because one thing is that if the other team is better than you, then you're probably going to lose. There's no way that you can like come back from something if the other team is just better. And also another thing that I want to point out, yeah, you're not going to carry anymore with combo, or at least that is what we think. And you're going to carry with accuracy, it's almost the same thing. I don't know if you think the
Kinda.
same.
I could see where you're coming from with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you've got one guy holding that 100% through the whole map, and like the overall average, like kind of like what we saw with Mania. I mean, there were a few carries there. It is possible. It's just they're on a smaller scale. It's more team effort. I mean, you could definitely still highlight who the star player is. That shouldn't be an issue. But it's not going to be just him anymore. I mean, there were definitely maps in previous World Cups where the other two members of the team were just doing bad. And all that mattered was holding that super duper high combo. And the other two team members, it didn't even matter, because at that point, that one player's score had amassed to the level of all three of the other people's score and his own team's score. It can get like that with the really high comboed maps. With lower stuff, it's not as apparent and it doesn't get that broken. But with something over 2,000 combo, which we don't see too often, but when we do, it could really leave a broken match.
Someone's actually just reminded me that it's not mostly just about luck and skill sometimes, but there's also nerves that come into play as well.
Yeah.
Like, that can really take a effect on some people.
Very true. Go ahead, Xilver.
Oh, okay. So what you said about someone holding a high combo and accuracy, leaving Hard Rock mod aside, I do think that players that are of a high enough caliber to play in the grand finals or finals, I do think they should have enough skill to, like, at least keep a decent form of accuracy, especially for no mod. Like 98, 99 is probably what's expected of them. So it's kind of, I don't really think that's gonna happen where one person holds a combo with really, really low accuracy, but the other team that held a decent combo but didn't really hold as much will win just because they had all 99s or something. So while in theory that could be possible, I think the matches are still going to be still very combo reliant. I'm just really glad that accuracy kind of has at least some aspect to do with how your score is determined.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about something similar to this in Cyclone's interview, I think it was. Actually, I don't think I was actually there, but he was talking about the fact that he didn't think accuracy held enough
Merit.
of a score thing in standard. Like, it was way too combo dependent.
It's actually funny. I think if Cyclone saw the World Cup announcement on that, he'd probably flip shit. Because he was so adamant about making accuracy the main scoring metric so long ago. Like, his whole idea, like, when Oath Stream launched, I know a lot of people, I hope people know what I'm talking about with Oath Stream. But when that launched, it actually followed a model where you could only get a score of 10,000. Or 100,000 or something like that. I can't remember. But it was a set score. Didn't matter how long the song was. Didn't matter what you did. It all depended. Like, if you got a double S, the only way you can improve your score past someone else is to spin faster. And that was it. And,
so it was kind of similar to the Mania scoring metric.
Yeah, basically. And Cyclone loved that. And he was pushing really hard for something like that to come to OS in its standard mode, but it just never happened. And I don't know if when we see this new accuracy-based metric, will it end up shaping the way scoring metric is handled further on down the road? Nobody knows, in all honesty.
I honestly like the idea of having something like this for Cups per se, but I don't know about just casual playing outside of that. I feel like just keeping it as it is fine, and then having it as a more competitive scoring metric for the tournaments is a better idea. Because honestly, I feel like if we just change the scoring metric now, reset all the ranking is going to cause a lot of problems and people aren't going to be happy.
Yeah, but I feel like if you were going to do something like that, next would be when to do it.
That's actually the first thing that came to my head. I was like, although you could probably do it for next, but again, I like the idea of keeping this sort of scoring system for the tournaments and keeping the current one for just casual solo competitive play.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were going to make a giant score metric and wipe everything new, when you completely rebrand the game and redo it, that would probably be the best way to do it. I mean, so many people would be pissed, and I don't blame them. I mean, a lot of people put a lot of hard time and work into the game, but like, looking at it at a development standpoint, if you were going to do something like that, that would be the best time to do it. Consider it like a new season or a relaunch of the game, and just do it there.
What would you think about that Rohulk and Xilver if something like that happened?
If the scoring system in general for also changed?
Yeah, with Osnix. We don't know if it is going to happen, but like, what would your feelings towards that be?
Purely hypothetical.
The thing is, I am not sure how they could improve the scoring system compared to how it is right now. Because right now, how I'm seeing it, like, you improve your score only by adding mods or spinning faster. I don't know how much they could differentiate the scores between players in Also Next. What ideas would they have? But if it happens, then we will just have to see, because I have no idea what they would do. It depends, really.
Yeah.
I suppose we'd kind of need to see what the actual scoring metric they're going to use for the World Cup actually is first.
Yeah, it's not announced, right? What the scoring system is.
Not yet. It's just saying that they are going to possibly be using a new scoring metric designed specifically for tournament play.
I do think that on Twitter there was something Peppy said about, like, I think Azer asked him about how exactly the scoring system's gonna work, and he gave him like a rough estimate of, like, assume it's 50% combo and like 50% accuracy. Like something along these lines. But then again,
yeah, I think I think I remember something like that as well.
Yeah,
yes. Speaking of which, though, this is something I kind of want to bring up. I'm sorry to cut that off. I just we gotta move forward. We've already almost hit the hour mark. But here's something that I've wanted to know for a while, and maybe you guys can shed some light on this. Why is standard mode the most viewed, the most took part in, and the most talked about game mode, when it is in fact not the most played game mode? Data actually shows that, believe it or not, Catch the Beat is played way more on a regular basis than standard, and Mania is about to overtake standard as well. So
I feel like when you think about Oscar, you think about standard. Even if it's not the most played game mode, it's essentially the main game. It's what people really like to see.
Yeah.
The
and I feel like
iconic
even
game.
if CPB is the most played game mode, it might not. I don't know. Like, I feel like there are still a lot of people who play standard.
Yeah, that's true. It's just, I would feel with like the most actual score registered and most played game mode would kind of just be a little bit more popping in terms of community, and it's kind of a sad fact. I don't mean to hit CTB where it hurts here, Zach, but it has the highest played game mode, but one of the most unvocal communities. What's up with that?
I honestly have no idea
Unvocal?
what is up with it. The community is just very small. Our map, like, we don't have that many people in the community who are even really known. We have a very small modding community, a very small mapping community. There's just not much going on, honestly.
Blame the
Unvocal?
editor.
Really?
I just
Blame the
don't feel,
editor.
I don't feel you can blame the editor. I really don't.
Yeah, I think you should because
I think
it's
editor
really hard
has
to map.
something to do with it, though. Just because you have to map as if you were mapping standard and then playtest everything you do to see how it plays on Catch the Beat. You can't just put the fruits on the screen right there and see how it's going to look without actually having to playtest it. So that actually, it does make the mapping community smaller because a lot of the people don't really want to get into it who don't play any standard at all because they just don't understand how it works.
I'd like to point out that there have been some times when the CTB community's voice has been really, really loud.
Yeah,
That
that's
too.
true. But I feel like with Next, I don't want to give away too much, but with Next, I feel like the CTB community is going to be really happy with the adjustments being done to the editor in general.
Believe.
Like, I'm not going to say you're getting a standalone editor, but I think you're going to be really happy with the end result.
We actually talked a bit about that in the CTB discussion as well, so I think we did anyway.
Yeah, so what are your guys' thoughts on Standard not being the most played game mode, but yet the most commented? I want to hear everybody else's thoughts in the room.
Here's my honest assumption, not necessarily opinion. I think that Standard is the most complex kind of game that is in OSU. And when you increase the complexity of games, the skill ceiling becomes much higher. Compared to Catch the Beat, Mania, and Taiko, Standard is very, very complex in my opinion in terms of play and difficulty and all that. And because of it being more complex, of course, it's harder to play, but also more amazing to watch people who are actually good at it. That's why I think it's the most watched mode, because it's the most
Enjoyable?
yeah, it's the most enjoyable when you are good at it, because you know when you see someone good, damn, he's real good and he really knows how to play this. But and the other modes, they are also very difficult. They can be very difficult, but they are not as complex, and that's why for many people they are more appealing, and therefore they play them more because they are very simple. You do not need to have such a high skill to enjoy the mode, because you understand everything you need to do compared to Standard. That's my assumption.
Actually, one thing I just thought of is I've noticed a lot of people actually spend more time watching the higher end players play than playing themselves. Like I have a friend of mine who actually he can sometimes spend hours a day watching other people play, but he almost never plays Standard himself. So I think that could play somewhat of a role in it.
I was thinking the same thing, like, well, Rohulk was actually talking there. I was also thinking that, well, Standard might not necessarily be the most played, it might be the most enjoyable to watch.
Yep.
I do think that I don't necessarily agree with what Rohulk said. I'm a Standard only player. I can't really speak for other modes. But like when I started playing Standard, I assumed it was just, you click the circles. Like you don't really think much while you do it. But as you keep playing, like you find out certain methods of doing stuff to make yourself better at it. And I guess it is the same thing for other modes too. We just don't necessarily know about it because we're only standard players. So I do think every game mode has its own sort of like secret complexity that you need a lot of time to master and make yourself familiar with.
My opinion as all game mode player is that I think the mapping in standard is really more enjoyable than the other game modes because there's a lot more room to do crazy stuff, and it's also cool because you are seeing how the pattern works, and you cannot follow it as the pro players can, but you can definitely watch how the map works and how the game goes, and it's easier to see that for a spectator or a new player in standard than in other game mode.
Oh, and also I think someone mentioned it in the chat that I think if that's because like people will talk about standard the most is because they were introduced to standard when we saw O's for the first time. Because when you think about it, like if Catch the Beat was like the first game mode introduced, like when you first opened up Osu, like you would have a tutorial of standard. So in theory, if you would have a tutorial of like Catch the Beat, for example, I do think that Catch the Beat would have became like the new standard. I think it's what you're introduced to that ends up kind of like becoming the main niche of the game.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. Well, thanks so much for everybody's opinion on that. Let's move on to our next topic. Now, this one is a little bit to do with some more of the drama that was in the OWC thread, and I kind of just want to get some feedback on it. What are your guys' thoughts on players that are casting during the tournaments? Do you feel that that's something we should promote, or do you feel that like that can... I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because while it's cool to have these people that are in the tournament, know what they're talking about, have an idea how the maps are going to go, great insight, everything for that, that's perfect. But then the problem, what happens there is then you have that person set for his match on a block where obviously he cannot commentate anymore. Then you're left with two commentators, and for whatever reasons you might be stuck in a block where one of them had to go, and then you're soloing it. And that's why I feel like it's not the best idea. I know people say that you should really find someone that's in the tournament, but my main goal, what I'd really like to find, is a commentator that knows what they're talking about, high up in the ranks, but they just didn't feel like taking part in the World Cup this year.
I agree with that assumption. I think playing a World Cup, because I did play a World Cup and also commentate the same, and I think it's really, really stressful because you have to wake up to commentate matches and then you have to play later, and not only for the player commentating, like his performance and his team might suffer because of it. And I think a top player it's really necessary to have in the World Cup, especially in standard, which is one of the most viewed tournaments. So I think a pro player is needed, a top player, but I think it's better if he's not playing the World Cup because he will have more time to actually think about how other teams can perform, and they don't have to take care about his performance or his team. They have more time to focus on the commentator thing.
I feel like it's something that we've done for quite a while. I mean, Juan, Zach, Tasha, Halogen, we've done this for a long time now. And I feel like it can still work.
But you definitely can't.
The commentator themselves, the player can't actually be expected to commentate that many games.
Yeah. Like I was about to say, you definitely can't disregard the fact that there's definitely times where we're at like a cripple. We're in a crippled state.
Like you, myself, and Tasha, we're expected to be there for like most of the matches. But if we were to have a player who was in the tournament, well, we might say, well, if you can show up for half the matches, that's awesome. Or maybe even just like a quarter, because obviously you need your read and your practice.
Yeah, I've definitely, I'm really down to the whole idea of finding a retired player. I see that in the chat. I don't know, man. If I could get Cyclone to come in there and like
Oh,
yell
that'd be
with
awesome.
me. Oh yeah, if I could get Cyclone to come in there and yell with me for a while, that'd be awesome. But I'm pretty sure most people would be like, well, he was number one like 6 years ago. No, you can't do that. And I couldn't.
If we do anything with us, they're gonna find something.
Yeah,
They
but
will always find something.
I couldn't actually call them out and say that they're wrong, because I mean, 6 years is a long time for change. You know, it's just like the problem with it is like I'd love to get more people to commentate that are actually taking part in the tournament, but then it leaves us in a bad spot if, like, say for example, the way scheduling rolls up, the only time slot that they could possibly commentate on happens to be the matches they're on. So that means that in this scenario, myself, Deadbeat, and Tasha, which are the core commentating staff, would just have to stay up for 10 hours straight and just deal, you know? And we've had to do that before. And it's not cool.
I'm just gonna give my personal opinion on this, and I imagine a lot of people aren't going to be particularly happy with this, and I don't really care. One thing I really kind of want to see is kind of moving away from bringing in people who prefer game mode and having a set core group of commentators who are well versed in game modes. That is something I would really love to see. We could probably still get people in for like interviews and stuff, or thoughts or insight during downtime, but I would love to see a group of dedicated commentators who do it. That is what I would like to see.
Well, whether people like to hear it or not, that's what we're moving towards, Deadbeat. That's what I've been looking for. So,
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I pretty much agree with Citron, yeah.
I mean,
Somehow I agree with Deadbeat because we saw in the Mania World Cup, Halloween and me decided to commentate, and it was awesome. I won't lie. I'm really happy with it, but it might be really hard to only be the three of you without knowing stuff about Mania or about Catch the Beat. You brought Zach, but a bigger core might be better. But also, what Citro says is a really cool thing, like bringing people to commentate some matches, like bringing fresh air to the stream. It's also a really good thing. So it's like in the middle of both opinions.
Yeah, but when bringing people, it can be a double-edged sword. Now this part's probably going to get taken out of context, and I can't wait for that. But I'm going to say it regardless. There's been a lot of support for Mr. Color to commentate again this year. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind that, not one bit. But let me explain to you why he's not being considered. I feel like this needs to be said. I have nothing against Mr. Color. Benjamin is a cool guy. We are friends. I still talk to him on the regular basis. I have nothing wrong with him. But he left us high and dry. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but a grand total of 5 matches in last year's World Cup. And these were matches that he guaranteed he could be there for. And so people like, okay, this guy and this guy's gonna be here. So Z-Track, go get some sleep. Not a problem. I love sleep. I'm gonna go get some of that. Then I get a phone call, and I mean a phone call, not a text message, a phone call on my phone, waking me up at 3 a.m. in the morning because no one's there, and we need somebody to commentate. And that's like the main reason why some of these people that are being brought up in the thread, that are being asked to talk about, like, that's why they're not getting in. I'm not bringing out pitchforks. Don't get it twisted. Like, I love that guy. He's a really good person. But you cannot, like, facts are facts. I'm not saying anything bad about him. He had other obligations he had to take care of. It happens. I'm not disrespecting him or saying that he should have been there. He had to do what he had to do. But at the same time, Loctav had to do what Loctav had to do. He had to make sure he could find people that are going to be there on time and work with others. That was a problem we had, you know, like working with others. And if you can't work with others, then what's the point of having a commentary group? If you're going to cut someone off and not allow them to speak their opinion or finish something, what's the point? And for those saying I'm being too hard, go listen to some of the old casts with Color and really listen to them. Don't just like drown it out with the OS music playing in the background and everything like that. You know, it's like, it's not something we want to have happen. When we cut each other off in the world, we apologize and we make sure to get it right the next time. But that was one of the things that we had a problem with. But I'm going to go ahead and stop ranting on that. This is kind of a heated subject for me. So I kind of take it a little bit.
Speaking of casters, guys, like, who would you want to see as a caster person?
Yeah, I did want to ask that as well, so. Well, he's already going to be there.
Well, we're getting Tasha.
Obviously, okay, we got 1 vote for Troy. 2 votes for Troy.
But Rohulk, Xilver, what do you think? Do you have any
Xilver
standard players you'd like to see?
We could probably get Jesse. That's the funny part.
I really want Jesse to be commentating. If he doesn't play, like, I'm not sure if he plays for the UK team or not, but if he doesn't, then I would love to have him commentating. He's a great guy. He has a great sense of humor. He has a wonderful voice. He knows what he's talking about.
I'd love to have
amazing.
Jesse back. I mean, I've commentated with Jesse before. I mean, it's amazing. Like he said, he's got a great sense of humor. He works well with others. And that's something we want to, like, look for. That's something we actively look for.
I mean, yeah, that is definitely something we could approach him about to see if he is interested. We do have a couple of names that I think we'll just keep in our heads for now, but...
No, why keep them in the heads? I want those
because
people...
Because it's more fun that way.
Oh, it's more fun that way? Okay.
Yeah.
Woo! I guess we'll keep stuff on the wraps, folks.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Not a problem.
For it.
I heard you had a problem about players who also participate in the tournament and would also want to cast. I mean, they are not a guarantee that they could also cast. My suggestion is, what if a player wants to cast, but he will only be allowed to after he loses in the tournament? Like, then he wouldn't have any problems with training or, you know, showing up or being tired or anything like that. How about that?
I have 2 things to quickly say. One, I don't particularly like the idea of bringing in people after the group stage, because I feel like by then, like, all the matches and stuff tend to go downhill, and bringing in more people just makes things more crazy. The other thing is we don't mind bringing in players who are also playing. It's just that if that is the case, we need to try and find times where they are able to do so. There is nothing wrong with doing it,
it becomes a double-edged sword.
They don't have as much time for commentating.
Yeah, not only that, you have to think when doing scheduling for stuff like that, you don't want to set... Like, unfortunately, it kind of happened with the Mania World Cup too, and I was trying to make sure that it didn't. My ideal scenario for this is to set up, like, a Team A and a Team B. And Team B would be really awesome if they're on the other side of the world from Team A. That way we've got the entire time zone locked. Like, if it's, instead of me getting a call at 2 a.m. to commentate for something, the guy over there where it's 2 p.m. has no issues. That's what
you say that, because during the Mania World Cup we had, 3 Americans, a Canadian, and an Argentinian, and the Kiwi. You're all over there, and like the one other guy is somewhere else.
Yeah. Well,
What?
Yeah, but your whole time zone, you're like synced to an American time zone anyways, deadbeat.
No, more on a European.
Then you must be like...
I wake up at 6 p.m. and I go to bed at 10 a.m.
Yeah, I was about to say, you must be like a vampire.
Yeah, nocturnal.
Yeah.
My sleep pattern is just so dead. Like, I can't hold one. I really can't.
Okay, so let's get on to this last main question here, and then we'll open it up for community people. Well, there's 2 of them real quick that I'm going to go ahead and ask. So, what do you guys think of this prize pool? Do you feel like this is going to increase effort towards all the teams around, or do you think that it's going to be more of an impact in the bad manner than in the good? And take your time. I know it's kind of a touchy subject there.
Could I start, maybe, I guess?
Go for it.
Alright, well, I've only played in one OC World Cup before, and while the prize pool wasn't that big, I still had, like, I don't know if it was because of bias for my first OC World Cup ever, but I was still determined to play, like,
to the best of my abilities, like no matter what the prize was. Because in the end, like we all, it's not often that you find like 8 of your country's best players and you get to play together with them and you get to have fun and you get to compete with other people. It's a really nice experience. So the prize pool being added, for the money prize pool being added, I think it adds more of an incentive for people to play at their absolute best, because I don't know, I guess last year's prizes were kind of underwhelming, even though like me personally I wasn't too bothered with it, but I would assume that some people would be, especially if they played more than one World Cup. So I do think the money prize pool, if they manage to raise it, then it'll be a great incentive for everyone to play at their absolute best and have great matches.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually really interested to see like what this fundraiser contribution price pool thing is gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm stumped.
Another thing I'd like to point out is I really hope that with the incentive of a prize pool, we see no. I want to call it now. I hope to see no win by default. I really hope.
Oh yeah, like that is always a horrible thing.
You know.
Yeah, we had an issue with that during the Mania World Cup for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, like I imagine the other team will be like, "Oh, we won by default. That's cool." And then the commentators are like, "Yeah, this match is it's not gonna happen."
Yep. And that's like one of the worst things to do. Like you get all super hyped and then like, nope.
We are not blaming you, Juan. So do not worry.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously there are some situations where
I'm blaming you, Juan.
but
Why weren't you there?
I'm blaming the teams that just did not show up at all, even
Yeah.
though they could have.
At least you had an excuse, and it was a rather good one.
yeah, like I said, there are some situations where it can't be avoided, but hopefully, like at some point in the future, we will see a definite decrease in that sort of
Yeah.
unfortunate situation.
Hashtag
I
blame
say
Juan
that
Crystal.
should also be something by team captains to choose people who will be reliable.
Yeah. I feel with like you guys said, with the singular registration now, I feel like that might actually work better in favor of actually finding people that want to play and aren't just going to back out.
Yeah, it's like a super combination of new things that works really well together in a hypothetical situation. We have to wait until it works.
All right.
And
Okay, I just
about
wanna
the...
I
Yeah?
just want to quickly do one more rundown before we open up to a few Q&As because we are well over time. Is that okay with you, Teacher?
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, so this is mostly from Rohulk and Xilver. If you had to pick 3 teams to keep an eye out for this year, like 3 countries, who would you say?
Oof.
Oh my, that's a
I like that.
Korea.
I will say Poland for sure.
Okay, so 3 teams you say. So I would say, yeah, Poland, Germany, and
Yes. Austria.
a third one would probably be Taiwan, Japan, or Korea. I'm not exactly sure, like, which one are the which.
I'd say Japan, 'cause I mean, like, they destroyed Poland twice in the
Right, yeah, okay, yeah. So Japan, Poland, and Germany is my top 3 teams.
Yes.
And I guess like a brief explanation. So for Poland, Rafis is pretty much like the best player like I've ever seen to come out of this game. One of the best players I've ever seen to come out of this game. He can play everything at an exceptionally high level, and I do think him and Wolf would be able to definitely have an extremely strong performance in the OC World Cup. And Germany, there's a lot of new players coming out. There's at the top of my head, there's Deadly Nelio, there's Niklu, there's Jaime, there's BD Dav, Captain. I don't think Captain's playing Deathman actually.
Nope.
No, he's not. Okay, BD Dav, there's Dustis too, like they're great players. And for Japan, there's let me see. I'm not sure if Ruichi is going to be playing, but there's Ku, there's Resia. There's definitely Resia. He's a really good player. There's a lot of there's Gokuri too. Like I'm not exactly sure what the Japanese roster will be, but they have a really strong team.
I want to give an eye to the French team as well, or Russia maybe. I want to see those teams.
I want to hope and pray for the United States to at least get third. I'm I mean, anything's possible now. We got 1 World Cup under our belt. We can go for 2. I believe
Come
it.
on. I want to see Argentina going through the group stage. That's my goal. And you're saying United States for 3rd place. No way. Of course they can do it, but you're aiming too high in the first stage.
You gotta aim high. Gotta aim for the stars.
See, Trot's putting pressure on us.
I do it every year.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
really do. But Rohulk, what do you think? You got any 3 countries that you think we should watch out for?
Yeah, well, either Japan or Poland will wreck house. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are expecting a lot. Definitely Japan.
No love for the cheeseburgers.
Nope.
Good.
Poland
Wait,
did
Didn't,
well last
didn't
try,
year.
Poland
Zeke,
win
we'll
second
try.
place in the last one?
Yeah, they got
Yep.
chicken.
Poland is 3rd the last previous 2 years, 2nd in the last year. So this year they had to be the champions. That's how the cycle works.
I'm not sure that's how it works.
They said no. You already got your love on the MWC. Oh, chat. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move this over to the community questions here. We're gonna allow about 20 minutes of community Q&A. Unfortunately, we normally allow longer, but it looks like this discussion's actually going to run about an hour and 30 minutes. So, if you have a question, go ahead and send a PM directly to myself or Deadbeat, and we will, if you want to speak it aloud to the members of the discussion today, feel free. Just say you'd like to use voice in your question. If not, just make sure to type it out in full detail what you'd like us to ask. And remember, please be respectful to our guests, and do not say anything that is harmful or hurtful in any regard. You will be banned and removed from the TeamSpeak, and possibly banned and removed from OS temporarily. So you have been warned.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that's a close Dragon Ball Z thing.
Okay, so the first question we have is from Click the Circles, and they ask, how does the OWC client work? I feel like
Oh.
probably the tournament client. I feel like any of us can probably answer this. Anyone who's ever had to work with the tournament client. So anybody that wants to take that, feel free.
Essentially, it just, from what I can understand, I think it just dictates all the players within the room.
Yeah,
It's nothing like the concept itself is kind of simple. I don't know if like how hard that was to do. But
Alright, I'll say it all fancy so it sounds good. Basically, what the tournament client does is it opens up up to 8 or at the minimum 2 versions of the game. During this time, normally they will connect to a specific server. Not going to go into all that, yada yada, but basically what it does is it allows you to spectate each individual player based on the slot that they are set on, allowing each client to show individually what gameplay is being played of other people. That is why sometimes when you watch a match, you'll see one of the screens frozen. That's usually due to the fact that the person's connection to the server is not strong, therefore giving us a little bit of lag on the spectating client. Did that answer your question? Click the circles. All right. Thank you so much for that question. All right. Our next one comes from Akthara. Okay. And they ask, aren't there any delay or ping problems in general during the OWC? And are there other servers? I would like to say yes. We do have a special server. I won't go into its address, obviously, but there is prevention for ping problems and stuff like that. Now, unfortunately, some countries don't have that strong a connection to certain places, and that's why we do have safeguards. Like if you drop within the first 30 seconds of a song, we will allow you to restart it. It used to be you could restart if you dropped it all, but then unfortunately a couple years ago we found out that people were actually pulling their plugs out of their routers in order to disconnect and get a retry, and that wasn't cool. So that's kind of why our retry rules have gotten so strict over the years. But yes, there is, we do take a lot of precaution into making sure that the players have the best possible ping and no interference from other players when playing for the World Cup.
Bad connections. Read as Argentina and South America.
All right.
Alright, next question.
Do you got one, Debbie?
Oh,
Okay. All right. So this one comes from, I think they wanted to name it Ninja 4. I don't know.
Yes, Ninja. He
Okay.
was in my team from the Mania World Cup.
All right. How you doing, Ninja? So they asked, how are the map pools arranged? Do they vote based on a list of maps, or do they take feedback from the community?
I think the maps I don't actually know how they select maps, but I think they find maps that they think are suitable for the World Cup.
And then they go through approval, and then if they're approved, they get put into the pool, and then they're uploaded to the wiki page.
I
for
think
people to
they have
download.
like a set guideline that they need to try to stick to. I'm not exactly sure. I think unless you actually become a map selector, the actual process is a little hazy.
Okay. And then they also had one other thing that's related to Osmania's mods. Will they be unlocked? And
Wait, what?
they said they don't think it's the time for said question, but I don't mind answering it. When you say unlocked, do you mean, and feel free to reply to me directly with this, when you say unlocked, do you mean will they ever give score adjustment, or are they just going to be forever locked in no score
What was the question,
add-ons?
sorry?
Mania's mods, will they ever be unlocked? Will they actually give...
Oh yeah, I think I know what he means. If the mods will give more score like
Yeah.
in standard does.
If they'll eventually
Oh.
give points. Now, there's been talk about that, but at the same time, it would break a lot of stuff because, as you've heard, like, obviously you probably heard during the commentary of the World Cups, some people cannot play without those mods. And so that's basically giving them free score.
Well, in Catch the Beat World Cup, the no mod picks could be played with Hidden or Hard Rock if you wanted, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't really know on all that, but if the scores were to ever be unlocked for those and actually give score points like 1.12 or 1.6, that would probably not be something we see until next is dropped, if it happens at all. I don't actually foresee it getting unlocked because
Yeah.
I think in Mania the mods are there for fun, not so much for a score metric.
Yeah, I think the only mod that can give score is Double Time, but it's the only one that makes the stuff harder, so
Yeah.
if it probably will be the only one.
Anyway, we should probably keep this going.
All right, and then so the ALMAO asks.
ALMAO.
Actually, they said actually never mind. I just want to know what your favorite meme is. I don't know. I'm pretty particular to the John Cena thing going on right now. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Juan Cena, boys.
It's just the only reason why I think it's so funny though is because like when I was younger, I used to watch wrestling all the time, and now for it to be like everywhere on the internet, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I like that only when it's not ear rape, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. Like when you see like there was this dog ran in to like bring the ball back to the kid that threw it, and they just played John Cena's theme right when they clapped into it, and I was like, oh yeah, see that's good. That's good.
I like when you don't expect it, like you'll find these random gifts or media or something, and it'll be like this casual thing, and then suddenly John Cena, and you're just like, God damn it again!
I remember when I played WWA games.
Do
With
do
John
do
Cena.
do 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 do.
There you go.
I was actually playing the, I think it was like 2K14 wrestling game. It was kind of meh.
You know that there is going to be a warm up with John Cena in this also World Cup, right?
Wait,
I hope
was
so.
it 20? What is it? Was it the 2015 game that actually had the Mystery Skulls theme for the main theme? I thought that was kind of neat. Like a little bit of wrestling tangent. Anyways, we also have a question. Wait, no, I guess not. Actually, Troy was just like spamming the crap out of me, asking for talk power
Thanks,
the entire.
Troy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not even here.
Yeah, he's not even here. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any more questions, feel free to get them in now. Yes? Okay. Would you like to speak it? Okay.
Johnson incoming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I currently had a question. What is the steps do we have to take if we ever wish to like join the tournament group? I guess.
It depends on what you're trying to join for.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like how if I could guess, like the beat mapping part, like as well. The person who picks the mapping.
Map selectors?
Map selectors. There you go.
In order to qualify for a map selector, you have to have at least, I think they say you should at least have 10 maps. You should also be really good at the game. Like, I feel like the map selectors they have this year are like spot on. They couldn't do any better in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Cherry Blossom, Sky Star. Wow, that's a good pick.
I'm gonna be honest right now.
Also.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be honest right now. Sky Star is probably my least favorite out of the three.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't like this? You don't like his hit sounding? Oh man.
no, it's not so much the hit sounding. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm setting my old man ways. Walking around with my cane, going like, oh no, please.
Where's Shinsen when you need him? Where's
Please.
Shinsen?
Please, Alam, do not make me explain why I don't like asymmetry. Please, I'm not gonna do that. Let's
Oh
not.
man. Oh yeah, and I was always curious, why is Marcin every single OWC he is always the statistic? I mean
Because
that's
he
what we
is.
did him out of the cage. That is when we did him out of his cage.
Oh,
Whoa, yikes! That
Ouch.
hurts. That hurts.
man. I mean he's like a slave. Wow.
No, not only that. What hurts more is Player 111 copied me. So like, you're basically saying that he like made himself worse by following my stuff, which is like, ow. Yikes, I think I'm gonna go jump out the building. And with that, I think we're gonna end this O's talk. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you so much, Rohulk, Xilver, Zach, juankristal, and Deadbeat. Thank you all for making it today.
It was fun.
Thank you so
you.
much. It was a pleasure.
Not a problem. And guys, look for this in the next few days to hit the YouTube if you want to go ahead and watch that again or be able to listen to some parts you might have missed.
And good luck to the
remember-
players.
Yeah, good luck to the players. And remember, guys, Rhythm's only a click away, and we'll see y'all real soon.
No, he won't.
See ya.
We're not
Nice
gonna
talk.
see you anytime soon.